Beautiful love of social distancing, baby.
Yep.
It is what it is. There we go. We up and about. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
Excellent. Hey everybody, how's everyone doing today?
Hi, how is everyone?
We've checked our entire house. We're almost 100%. We're fiend free. Okay, that's what got us yesterday.
We think.
Okay, in all seriousness, my iPhone overheated about 3/4 of the way through our show yesterday. So for those of you who did not get a chance to, or did get a chance to join us yesterday, we apologize for that. Sometimes it happens. We've been able to put our phone on a charger before, but never had it overheat during the middle of it. So when you start seeing smoke coming from your phone, you tend to stop. But
something different, and and we learned from it though.
Absolutely.
We learned something new.
Yeah, we learned don't have it hooked up to a high-powered charger morphine while we're doing filming.
Exactly.
Hey, lessons learned for all. But hey, just in case the Fiend wasn't properly social distancing like he was with Alexa yesterday, we have our special masks, and we wanted to show those off. For those of you who saw our post earlier, we have our Naomi mask, Kimber Last Kick, once again coming to the rescue. We've got our wonderful mask to join our collection, so a nice shout out to her. If you haven't seen her stuff, make sure you take the time to check out her Etsy site. Again, I believe it's still under Kimber Last Kick as well.
It is.
But she's got fantastic WWE masks as well as some other things. So without any having to sponsor us at all, here's your shout out, Kim. Thank you very much for the fun mask.
Also, if you don't have Etsy, make sure you check her out on Twitter, Instagram, and I believe she has a Facebook. So go check her out under Kimber Last Kick.
So either way, go ahead and give you a nice shout out for those. But for those of you who would like to be able to hear us, we're gonna go and do things. As you can see, we also have set up in a new location, hopefully a little bit cooler, and also it doesn't piss off our kid because right now he's got the TV, and we're not arguing with that. When he's
he's
happy baby means happy
content,
everybody.
Baby. Yep.
So either way, for those of you again who joined us last week, we see one of our guests have already joined us back in. Slytherin, good to see you. We had honestly one of our best shows going up to this point, and then hated that we lost it. We lost the footage and everything, so hopefully better tonight.
Good luck to us.
Yeah. But we ended up having a fantastic week of everything in WWE. We said yesterday that, it's amazing that the storyline picked up when NXT was the weakest show of the three, and that's not an insult to NXT. That's just how good the storyline writing on both Raw and SmackDown just went up this week.
But here's the thing, and we know if you're a fan or a stand or you're into wrestling, you're going to go through every emotion. I know I did. I went through happy, sad, angry, funny, literally every emotion that you can go through, I went through all three shows, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
We ran the gambit with everything, including, of course, the final emotion, which was absolute petrification. With that last segment, but we'll get to there in a little bit. So anyway, as we always do, let's begin with Monday Night Raw. Of course, the big story going into that week was the championship match for the Raw Women's title between Asuka and Sasha Banks. Sasha trying to complete the run for the Golden Role Models by trying to win the Raw Women's Championship. It ended up being in a match that was specially designed to where you could win the championship by pinfall or submission as normal, but could also win by countout, by disqualification, or by any level of outside interference, which prevented both Bayley and Kairi Sane from being able to get involved. But in the end, they were very much involved.
I believe Stephanie was, because we hadn't seen much of Stephanie McMahon up until that day where she said this is what's going to happen. I believe both of you should fight fairly. I think this is how I would like to see play out. If anybody is to get involved in the match, there will be a disqualification and nobody wins the title. So let's go ahead and let's make the match and let's make it this way. And she pretty much laid out all of what she wanted. Of course, with her being the $1 billion princess, she's going to get what she wants.
Yeah, well, she runs the show. That's how things work. It's called the Queendom in her song for a reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, as we said already, though, Bayley and Kairi very much playing a role in the final outcome as a backstage attack by Bayley ends up causing Kairi Sane just breaks your heart, tears into your heart as she screams for Asuka to come back to the stage and help her. And Asuka, being the great friend, comes back there and gives up the Raw Women's title to help her friend.
But for Asuka, you have to think: is it very conflicting? Is it not conflicting? What am I going to do? What am I not going to do? I want to be there for my friend who's always been there for me, but at the same time, I want my title. But then you see in the end, she after having to kind of struggle a little bit with those demons, I guess she picked her friend, because you have to think they have been close for like a very long time since Kairi came to the main roster. So I hated the way it happened, and if you go back and you listen to Kairi screaming for her, that was just devastating and heartbreaking to me to have to see that. But I mean, Asuka did the right thing in my opinion, and if you saw the backstage segment when everything was said and done, she was livid. There's nothing.
Well, at this point, you've got a very dangerous Asuka now because now she has no title and no friend to help her now. So at this point, you now have an Asuka who has nothing to lose.
And that's the worst that's the most dangerous person to be dealing with when you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
On the flip side of the coin, though, Sasha Banks, even though maybe the first person ever to win a world championship while being laid out in the middle of the ring, but hey, just continuing to set the bar as she does things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, friends before titles, hey, that comment just came through.
Yeah.
So, hey, great minds think alike. But in the end, you've got to hand it to Sasha and Bayley. I mean, they found a way, as they've been doing, to skirt around the rules, to find a way to, finagle it in their favor, and in the end, they got the job done, as now they hold all the gold. I had a plate exchange, so if you had a chance to see me add the new Sasha Banks plates back to the Raw Women's Championship, take a gander over there and take a look at that. But they got it done.
Who recorded that episode for you?
You, very much against your wishes.
Against my better judgment. I said I wasn't going to record the damn thing, and darn good if I did not do it.
Well, someone's got to do it, and I'm not handing it to the baby. He doesn't take a good look. He'll be like, ooh.
Look, but the thing with that is, you're right. As much as I was emotional and I cried, because like I sat there for 30 minutes in my feelings, crying even after the match was over, and I sat here and I said, as much as I don't like it, they technically followed the rules and they did what they were supposed to, and it grinded my gears to no end. But I mean, it is what it is, and you can't hate them. But, you can, there's no love lost, I guess.
Well, the fact is, though, now that they hold all the gold, it also, of course, brings in a lot of questions, because now you're holding three different championships heading into your second biggest pay-per-view of the year in SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
A chance that they possibly could not only be defending both titles, but potentially all three.
Yeah.
And, of course, you've got pay-per-views like Night of Champions coming up. You saw what happened with Seth and Braun last year when they were holding two titles at once and end up having to have two matches in the same night. You typically can't walk out with all of them.
But you know what that does for them, right? And they know it, and they've been doing very well. That puts a bullseye on their head and their back.
Well, at this point, all the bullseyes are on them because they've got all the gold. And, of course, they're not willing to stop there. They went on social media. They called out Kaylee Ray, the UK Women's Champion. They called out Io Shirai. So, you never know. They might appear on NXT at some point.
Really?
And go ahead. They want all of it.
If you really want me in my feelings, that's how you do it, because I think Io's a good champion. Don't take it off of her. I mean, 4 is enough. Can you not stop there?
Moving on through Raw, we also, of course, had the next storyline of Drew McIntyre. Drew finishing his story with Dolph Ziggler by giving a match in which Drew got to pick the stipulation and ended up, choosing Extreme Rules again, but this time, of course, playing more to Drew's favor. Dolph putting on still a good match, but unable to get the job done, but then found out who his SummerSlam opponent was going to be earlier in the night and was hit out of nowhere by Randy Orton in an RKO. We're leading ourselves into a great SummerSlam main event.
And I told you, I even said, I think Randy Orton is the legend killer. That's who he is. The legend killer, the Viper. He's killed many legends, but with Drew McIntyre, he's not quite a legend, but he's going to go ahead and, knowing Randy Orton, he's going to kill that road before it happens.
He's killing the path to being a legend
before it happens.
And the fact is, Randy Orton, we've said publicly on this show that we think this may be the best Randy Orton we've seen. He's had some great runs.
Most definitely.
But this may be the best Randy Orton we've seen in his career. And so he most definitely is not only a threat, I could argue he goes in the favorite.
I mean, I could see it too, honestly, but I also, it depends on what side you're on. Are you pulling for Drew? Are you pulling for Randy Orton? Are you a neutral party? How does that, but I don't know. I don't even know what to say for that.
We'll have to make picks at some point, but we got a few weeks before that,
we've
got some time. So we will end up having to see it, of course, as the saying goes, in order to be a great legend, you're going to have to beat some good people.
Exactly.
So, maybe Drew starts his run as a legend by beating the legend killer himself.
We'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. The storyline continuing of R-Truth trying to get his baby back as Shelton Benjamin enters his second week as 24/7 champion. Not that they didn't try. R-Truth and the Tozawa and the Ninja Clan come out and they try to get it, but with the assistance of Bobby Lashley and MVP, unable to get the job done. And then MVP continuing his run as the supposed United States champion, before eventually Apollo's going to have to come back and they're going to have to deal with the situation. But hey, continuing to sport that new belt, I'm loving it.
But you know how I feel about MVP. I feel like, honestly, he's still, in my opinion, even though you carry a title, doesn't make you a champion. What makes you a champion is defending that title, and I have not really seen him defend it. I've seen him talk, but I don't think he's defended it, has he? I mean, unless I've been sleeping, he did it.
Well, officially, Apollo is still considered the U.S. champion.
So until that match takes place, in my mind, Apollo is still the champion.
Well, we know it's definitely what it's leading to. Probably at SummerSlam, they'll finally end up, going ahead and deciding it. But they, are continuing to set the path for, that clash to eventually happen. And also we got not just Drew and Randy Orton set for Raw, but we also got the number one contenders for the Raw tag team titles in the forms of Andrade and Angel Garza, a match that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania, but now it's going to happen at SummerSlam. Of course, Andrade getting injured back in April, preventing him from being able to appear in Mania. You had Austin Theory step in his place. So now the match that should have happened then now happens at SummerSlam.
But for anybody that knows me, I'm all about my tag team, men or women, as well as my female empowerment. And for this match,
all I can think is that Angel Shanta TikTok video.
You have to go see it. I'm not going to explain it.
I was going to say, I don't think we can talk about that one out here. We'll get in trouble.
But I am so excited. You don't understand. I love the Street Profits. I really do. I think they are great. And honestly, if that match happens, and it will, I think Bianca needs to be in their corner, because I know Zelina is always in her corner for her guys. But that's a great match. I'm excited. I am pulling for Angel, and I am pulling for Andrade. And I know that people are saying, well, you just said you like the Street Profits. I do, but I'm pulling for them to win. I think it's their time.
Well, once again, in a couple more weeks before you make your pick, Kia's known to change her pick halfway through, so it's definitely not out of the realm that she potentially could change her mind. But all around, Monday Night Raw, as we said, along with SmackDown this week, I mean, really went up in terms of its storyline writing, and I think it's got to do with the fact that we're heading to SummerSlam. The writing's got to be better. The writing's got to be more in place.
Exactly.
But it took a definite step up on a couple of weeks, especially on SmackDown, which lately had been a snooze.
It really was. I mean, we were sitting here flipping channels. No offense to SmackDown, but I don't know. It just we were tired.
They picked it up this week, and it's great because it goes for great watching, especially during a time in which your storyline writing has to be good.
Yeah, it's gotta
because you don't have the live crowd, you don't have that live audience to really be able to kind of to build it up on a match in which you need it to be.
But you're using the NXT people, you're using the NXT, the talent to make it to where it's as good as it's going to get. I mean, and they're trying social distance and the glass and
there's nothing greater than Xia Li sitting here doing the Asuka dance whenever she comes out. There's nothing greater than that.
But she's supporting Asuka. I get it. But I love the whole social distancing. And until we can all get back, that's the best way to do it. And I'm not against it. Just quit throwing people through the glass and having it break.
Well, I personally enjoy that. I mean, plexiglass isn't supposed to break, but I've seen enough hockey matches. No, it's definitely breakable if you hit it hard enough.
Yeah.
So we move on, as I said, to NXT, and I'm not sure I've ever publicly used the terms NXT was the weak show this week, but it was. But that's not because NXT put out a bad show. Honestly, it was one of the more entertaining ones.
It really was.
That tells you the level that Raw and SmackDown went to this week. NXT seemed tame and mild by comparison.
Raw and SmackDown went from here to here.
Right. Meanwhile, NXT stayed right up here and just narrowly passed it.
Yeah.
So bravo to the Raw and SmackDown writing crew though, but they've got to pick it up now because we've still got a couple more weeks, and if you tear it down next week, then you've done all this for nothing.
Exactly.
And before we leave that, I mean, we haven't even talked any bit about Seth Rollins starting in a storyline with Dominic Mysterio, possibly leading to a match between the two of them. You're looking at.
What about Buddy Murphy?
You're looking at Buddy or Murphy, all of a sudden now reaching the level of the Messiah, shoving Aleister Black's eye into the steps, and now he's going through a new psychological change that's going to make him even more dangerous.
But see, the thing with the Messiah putting it into his head, how many times have we been embarrassed by Aleister and Dominic and Ray and anybody that decided they wanted to come out and interfere? We've been embarrassed multiple times, but now thinking, because Buddy Murphy was conflicted, you could see he had those demons that were just like, do I want to do this? What is he doing? What's going on? And now that the Messiah's kind of had to explain it to him through his own words, it's like, I can't let this happen. He's right. And then he took it there. When I say
it was the slap, I tell you. The slap of the Messiah. The glove has all that power.
Hey. But the fact that he took it there is like, I've never seen that side of Buddy Murphy before.
But you know what? It's going to make him that much more dangerous because, you know, just like in Star Wars, you know, the dark side is very powerful.
Yes.
And when you're willing to finally say, I'm going to do whatever I have to do, no matter the cost, it makes you very dangerous, but it also makes you a lot more powerful. You know, and wrestling's no different, you know.
That's
Exactly Murphy
it.
at that point, you're ready to see him take that next step.
I am.
I think we're just about there.
I can't wait. I'm actually excited. Hopefully he takes out no eyes. Please, Lord Jesus, don't take out no eyes. No more. I can't see it.
But let's move to NXT.
Yeah.
I know we said we would. And as we said already, it wasn't because NXT put up a bad show. Raw and SmackDown just stepped up their game, but it was still a fantastic NXT. You open with Io Shirai teaming with Tegan Nox, a person she had just defended her championship again not a week before that. And they're taking on the team of Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae.
Yes.
In what ended up being a very entertaining tag team match, ultimately Io and Tegan going over because Dakota walked out on Candice. I can tell you Candice won't take that lightly, but Dakota already believing herself to be the #1 contender, but there's another person standing there.
But what did I say? What did I say off camera? I said the girls who were good are tired of being good. They're tired of eating after everybody else. They're tired of helping everybody else. And with that being said, and Candice even came out and, you know, she for the last couple of months has made it known. I'm out for me. Y'all don't like it. Too bad. I've been the mother to this group. I've helped everyone, and I'm not getting anything for it. So.
Well, the problem is though is that her heel run has been completely botched because it's not sure I think she has the one win over Mia Yim in her entire time as a heel. I mean, outside of the one tag team match in which Johnny ultimately got the pin. You know, but I mean, her heel run has been completely just destroyed through all of this. So hopefully it's going to lead to something. But the point of it all was the fact that Dakota walked out on her, and Dakota goes back proclaiming, I'm still the #1 contender. But all of a sudden, you don't just get a person back, but you get Super Saiyan Rhea Ripley, who shows back up with the flowing blonde hair.
But it fits her.
Everything else, it does. I mean, just when you think Rhea can't get any more fine, she finds a way to make it happen with that sleek back blonde look.
Yes, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not really for this. But then I have to think about when she came out for the Mania Classic, she was like the, you know, girl next door, sweet, cute, beautiful. Somehow she got compared to Charlotte. I don't see the resemblance.
I saw it.
I can't see the resemblance. I still don't see it.
Tall, blonde, strong, long legs, absolutely.
But, you know, I think her hair matches her demeanor, and I think she's going to, like, kill it even more so.
Well, that leads to them having a #1 contenders match next week where Rhea and Dakota will face each other. It also does appear that they have ended the storyline, you know, I guess, friendship or, you know, worksmanship of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. As for the last several weeks, Dakota's been running it solo. So I don't know if they're planning something different for Raquel or if they're just ready for Dakota to do this all by herself.
I see, and I liked Raquel, and I liked that alliance that they had. It showed how strong she was and how much help she could give to Dakota Kai, or excuse me, King Kota. But I feel like Dakota, after seeing that heel turn at the pay-per-view, I feel like she can just, honestly, she can do it by herself. She's all bad by herself. She don't need nobody's help.
So that's going to end up leading to a fun match to find out who's going to get Io Shirai at Takeover 30, which is the night directly before SummerSlam. So we're actually going to end up with a 2 pay-per-view weekend, which means a lot of work, but a lot of fun for us as well coming up here in a couple of weeks.
I'm excited.
Another storyline that's leading itself towards this inevitable championship match is, of course, for the NXT Championship in Keith Lee, who I'm pretty sure we saw the best Keith Lee mic work we've ever seen since he joined NXT.
My brother lost his religion with, this is supposed to be a Christian man, and he's out here, like, curse bombs, dropping curse bomb after curse bomb.
Now, we can't say the words he said because we don't have a censor and a 7-second delay, but we're working with it.
But he lost his religion, but the fact you've been pushed that far to go that far, and then on top of that, not only have you been pushed, you watched your best friend get decimated by Karrion Kross, and it's like, okay, I'm fed up. I'm done. I'm supposed to be the limitless one, but right now I'm going to show you a different side of me, and maybe we get him in beast mode where it's like, I'm not going to take this sitting down.
Well, the problem is, though, is the fact that we've seen in history that, you know, those good guys who can't control their emotions tend to end up having it be their ultimate demise. But it certainly was not the case when you had dumb boy Cameron Grimes
that Joker
that decided
sticky.
He was going to step out there. His sticky self decides he's going to come out here, and boy, did he pick the wrong time to decide to come out.
You know what? It's like he just walked out, and you know he was like facing Keith Lee was 2020 by itself, and it's been a bad 2020, so we already know. And the fact that you want to come out and you want to face 2020 with your sticky, nasty, grimy self, turn around, walk away, back up that ramp for you get got.
Well, the thing about it is, and even then, he had an opportunity to be able to almost get away because Scarlett showed up, looking like her fine self. You know, woke up a 9, turned it into a 10. Yeah. The 5's be quiet. The 10 is here. The 10's on the TV. She didn't say a word. Didn't need to.
But she has a strong demeanor and a dominance in her presence. And
I love looking at her demeanor.
That outfit, I wish I had my girls.
If you get lost in her closet,
don't come find me. Don't. and hers, Zelina's, or Sasha, I don't want to be found. I'm just letting you know.
And if she gets lost in there and dies, hey, it wasn't their fault. Don't sue. You got lost on your own. Right?
I will leave a note saying, "Don't come find me. I'm cool."
You slipped.
I slipped. My fault. But at least I'll be looking good.
But either way, very clear that Karrion Kross is, got his eyes set on Keith Lee, and Keith Lee even told him, hey, give me a time and a place, I'll come whoop that. And go from there. William Regal, of course, saying, you're not going to goad me. I run this show. Yeah. You're not going to argue your way into title matches. Kross, you're going to have to earn it. Lee, you're not going to ask for it. Mm-hmm. I still run this show, and people earn their title shots around here.
He said, I'm going to get the respect I'm owed. If I feel like there needs to be a match, there will be a match. So I'm hoping.
Well, speaking of people who have to earn their title shots, we also had our second triple threat match for entering into the North American Championship ladder match. You had Timothy Thatcher, you had Finn Balor, and you had Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, 2 out of the 3 I was good with.
And we're looking forward to next week because we've got a Zoom meeting with Dexter Lumis coming up this week. So your girl over here, very smiling at the dad bod that's going to be talking to her. I'm just hoping he keeps that 1,000-yard stare while he's in the show as well, and I'm sure you do as well. But ultimately, it ended up being a great match, showing a lot of different athleticism, especially a lot of submission moves, which, of course, Timothy Thatcher is very well known for. But it ended up being, surprise of all people, it ended up being Dexter Lumis who gets the submission victory over Thatcher, knocking his rear end out.
But the fact that when you looked at it, Thatcher had a hold of Finn, and then Dexter took a hold of him.
Well, he took the time to crawl in first.
I'm okay with that. You can crawl over in this direction. I'm good. But that's not the thing is. He took the time to crawl in and get a hold of Timothy Thatcher and just literally knock him out with his brute force in his arms. Mm-hmm. So, I was thinking for the longest, was it going to be Thatcher who's going to get Finn? But it didn't work that way.
Well, our thought was anybody but Thatcher because even Finn would have been okay with.
Yeah, most definitely.
And you never know. The roster's only so big, so, there may end up having a match later on where, people who didn't get in may get another shot at it. But ultimately, that now puts 2 people so far in what is supposed to be a 5-person ladder match, ultimately. And it ends up being 2 people that there's no way you could have predicted at the beginning, with Dexter Lumis and Bronson Reed being the 2 people so far.
I like Bronson Reed's nickname, Thick Boy. I think that's kind of cool.
Thick boy.
Yeah.
Thick boy.
Yeah, I think it's cool. But no, I did not see those 2 at all. I would have seen others, but not them. So it's a surprise. It's a turn.
Well, we even said, for the longest time that Bronson Reed has all the talent and definitely has the appeal that people like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Vince are looking for.
Yeah.
But they just didn't know what to do with him, But now it sounds like, he may finally get the push he's been looking for.
I hope so. I think he's deserving. But, people say deserving is being thrown around loosely with a lot of the talent on the 3 different rosters.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
Well, we move from there to SmackDown, and ultimately, I cannot remember the last time that we sat here and said that SmackDown was the show of the week, but it most definitely was first week. First of all, we said it a while back, but now we're saying it here on our show. They need to consider continuing those 4 or 5 minute intros at the beginning. Because they really get you hyped into it.
It gets you to where, y'all ain't gonna flip the channel because you never know when your favorite superstar's gonna pop up and start talking about their match and what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it. And it's just for me, that pulls me in. You want me to keep my TV where it is and don't touch that remote, sit it on the ground? That's how you do it. You hear from everybody on the roster that's going to be, fighting that night or promoting something. And it's just I love it. I think they should do it at Raw if they're not doing it already. But excellent micmanship, excellent. Everything was excellent.
Right. Well, they ended up opening the show with the Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Styles and Grand Metalik. A match that, I believe every person, maybe with the exception of Metalik himself, went in expecting that Styles would retain, and he did, but it ended up being a far more entertaining match than we thought it would be. Styles put over Metalik very well, put him over as a very strong challenger. Styles ultimately, proving to be, the better competitor, and Metalik making a number of, what would be considered, mistakes along the way, ultimately causing his demise. But he did a great job of making Metalik look well while still retaining his title.
But at the same time, you're in the ring with AJ Styles, who's been literally all over wrestling, and when you're looking for someone to protect you and make you look good at the same time, he would be one of the people outside, I'd say, of Seth Rollins that can do that. So I'm saying, with that being the case, That match to me was phenomenal.
But
Nice wordplay. Anyway.
But, and you're sitting here wondering, like, okay, he's defended, against Matt Riddle. He's defended against Grand Metalik.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly the top caliber of challengers that you'd expect. So who is going to be ultimately the guy? And I think we got our answer this week, and I think it's going to be Big E. Because Big E is now getting his singles push for the first time in over 6 years. He's getting a singles push because of the injuries to both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
So we're looking at least 6 to 8 weeks with Big E running it on his own showing that he can, as he defeated The Miz, even with John Morrison causing a lot of outside interference.
When was the last time we saw Big E by himself?
During his NXT title run.
That's exactly it.
At least when it comes to any kind of big push. Granted, he's won the Intercontinental title once already, but that was years ago.
But when he first came to the roster, we saw him with Dolph Ziggler and we saw him with AJ Lee. And then from...
Bring AJ back.
Yeah, and then from there... Yeah, really, y'all should. From there on out, we've seen him with the New Day. Again, I had no faith in the New Day actually being a consistent, team, but they're making it work. How many years later?
Mm-hmm. Six plus.
And they show no signs of cracking. They show no signs of splitting.
And I can't imagine this is going to be what's going to cause it either. They were perfectly fine with Kofi having his singles run when he won the WWE title. And again, they said it, you got our blessing and everything else. So, I think if you've got to have a person who's going to be a legitimate number one contender to AJ Styles and a person that you can root for to beat Styles, it would be someone like Big E, who definitely has all the talent, all the potential, just hasn't had the storyline to get the push. Maybe you're ready to give it to him because you have only such a small window before the rest of the New Day comes back.
Let me ask you a question. With that being said, and with him, to me, in my opinion, being a potential threat for that Intercontinental and to take it off of Styles, if that is the case, what happens when the rest of the New Day come back? Do you think they're going to be jealous? Do you think it's going to be I
don't think there was an issue. I think if there was ever going to be a time that the New Day was going to crack, it's when Kofi was WWE champion.
That is true, and that never happened.
And it never even came close to happening. And the moment Kofi lost it, it was right back to tag team wrestling. So they understood this. I'm going to milk this as long as I can, but when it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, but I think you've got a potential story there. And of course, you have to map out the fact that, you had, the Grand Metalik and the rest of Lucha House Party try to go back to a party backstage with the new SmackDown tag champions in Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, but Campeones only.
Because you can tell Shinsuke was trying to be very friendly. Yeah, come on, join the party. And no, Cesaro's like, no, champions only.
Champions only. You had your shot.
I don't see no titles on you. You had your shot, so y'all are gonna have to leave. And they left.
Well, Cesaro just once again showing that he can tag team with just about anybody and can do well.
Let's see. He's been with Tyson Kidd. He was with Sheamus. He was with anybody else.
Well, those have been his big ones up till now, and then of course Shinsuke Nakamura, and he's won titles with all of them.
And let's not forget Sami Zayn. I forgot he was with him for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So again, he's the perfect person you can compliment to anybody, but is also very well capable of being able to win titles on his own. He's a multiple-time United States champion, and to me, a damn shame that he has not been a multiple world champion by now.
I think it's
so
sad.
I really do feel like they're continuing this good push because you've got folks like Cesaro and Shinsuke that are kind of sitting in the middle right now. So a tag team title run together is not a bad idea, but at some point they both need that big push.
I agree. I don't know what's going on with that, but again, being used loosely, they're deserving. Honestly, if you work as hard as these talents work, why not try to go? If you're not here to win a title, why are you here?
Well, you also look at, SmackDown opening up 2 more stories as we head towards SummerSlam. The first one being that apparent heel turn of Shorty G, normally known as Chad Gable, who apparently has taken up King Corbin's deal on the King's Ransom to try to take out Matt Riddle as he ends up turning heel this week and attacks Riddle at Corbin's request. So now you wonder, is this going to be just business or is this, a full-blown Chad Gable turn?
But understand, I've never seen Shorty G or Chad. Let's go ahead and just say Chad Gable because I don't like the short references with any of the talents. Have we ever seen him in a heel persona before? I mean, I know we've seen Corbin. Have we seen Shorty G? I don't think we have.
Not in this type of heel role, but he'd be the perfect complement, and being I don't want to use the term he's the muscle for him, but the fact is he's a person that has the skill set as a former Olympian to be able to handle something like this, and someone who can match with Matt Riddle in terms of speed and agility.
But did we think he was going to really take Corbin up on this offer? When I saw it last week, I didn't think
he'd be the person that would do it.
I didn't think so either, and so it was a surprise because you saw Riddle, because him and Corbin have been kind of going at it for since Riddle got here. And the fact that you saw Shorty G come out and attack Matt Riddle, what is he thinking?
Well, Riddle at this point knew he was kind of a marked man the moment he got on the wrong side of both Styles and Corbin. But I think he knew what he signed up for, and he's perfectly fine with it. Another story that kind of reared its head again is they are now reopening the storyline between Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. And this one taking a very ugly turn this week is Sonya trying to, really shame Mandy in terms of going as far as cutting her hair off during a backstage fight between the two when Mandy was supposed to be getting ready for a date with Otis, and it didn't go over well.
My thing with that, and we've stated it before, and if this happens, the hair versus hair match, we've seen a hair versus hair match in our lifetime together.
A couple of them.
I'm wanting to know, is Sonya still to that point? And it looks like she is. She's like, Mandy, she's beautiful, but she took the spotlight when we were Fire and Desire. I didn't like it. I accepted it because, I thought I was going to be able to have her, and it didn't work out like that. And now we're looking at, Sonya would be okay with short hair. She was
Sonya has lived with the whole idea of MMA, cornrows. So if her hair gets all cut off,
she don't care.
She can live with it. She can be away with it, but Mandy can't. Mandy without her blonde hair would not be the same person she is.
But see, here's the thing with Mandy. Mandy happens to be able to be a person who I feel like she can adapt. Honestly, so if her hair gets cut, I believe she'll be okay. But that's not going to stop Otis from loving her. That's going to be his peach forever.
Well, they also used his time, because I think that's kind of the mindset is, if all of a sudden she doesn't have hair, is Otis going to look the other way, or Otis going to start looking for something else, or will he still love her even more?
I think he will love her. It doesn't matter what.
But the backstage segment also opening up, because of course when Otis and ultimately Tucker ended up coming back to help Mandy, it ended up being Miz and Morrison deciding they were going to fire off some cosmetology jokes.
Hey.
Ho, ho.
Ho, ho.
Getting the sheer facts.
Let's go ahead and cut this short. For anybody,
it's a hairy situation.
I'm a cosmetologist, so when that happened, I was so excited with the fact that
apparently he's not a fan of our jokes. You can hear him back there, and apparently he was not a fan.
I'm excited that they did that. I'm a cosmetologist, so that got in my field. I loved it, and I hope they keep on with that. But they had to cut out of there, so they had to leave.
Exactly, just shave above the rest. But we move into our main event, and that ended up being something to where, you knew what it was going to be about. It ended up being a match for the SmackDown Women's Championship between Nikki Cross and Bayley. I can tell she's got something she's got to get out before we get into it.
I just wanted to know with that match, because I was salty about the Sasha and the Asuka match. I was sitting here crossing my fingers, hoping that she would just pull out the victory, and we saw deja vu all over again with the Nux.
Right. Well, they attempted to try to win the same way that Bayley was able to retain over Nikki at Horror Show at Extreme Rules by using the Nux. Nikki ready for it this time, and it ended up being another fantastic match. Nikki putting out everything she could, but ultimately not enough, as Bayley's able to get the win and retain the SmackDown title, keeping the golden role models with all the gold, at least for the moment. But that's not what people were talking about at the end.
But before we get to that, since we're talking about, women, what did we think about the Lacey Evans and the Naomi?
Our thoughts.
I'm just saying, and I was going to be very mad. And we were talking, I was going to be very upset, if not angry, because you cannot use the same trick that you used the last time. Don't get me wrong, I love Lacey Evans and I love Naomi, and I think they're both great competitors. But you can't use the same trick that you used and tie her hair up in the ring rope. And then what is wrong with you putting her hair in between the stairs where she can't get free somehow?
Well, finally they let Naomi finally gets her first win of 2020. That's hard to believe that we were entering the last day of July, and Naomi's getting her first win of the calendar year. That's a hard pill to swallow when you're a huge Naomi fan like us.
You never.
Bravo to her, by the way. She follows us on Instagram now.
You never touch a black woman's hair. Let me go ahead and just put that out there. I don't even let you touch my hair, and you're my husband.
It's true, I don't.
So why would you do that?
You can touch mine all she wants, what little I have. But
why would you do that? But jumping back into it, I think we because you talked about you thought it was going to be a heel turn between the women.
Well, you looked at how this match was going to end, and you're thinking, okay, they're setting this up as the main event. One of three things is going to happen. either this is when Nikki turns on Alexa or the other way around. This is when Bayley turns on Sasha or the other way around. Or you're going to get a title change and you're going to have, Bayley ultimately start being the one who cracks the golden role models with Nikki Cross winning the championship. And so everyone tuned in. That's where the great storyline comes into play, because ultimately the person that ended up being who everyone talked about ended up being none of the three in the end. It ended up being Alexa Bliss that everyone was talking about because she had a visitor show up.
But at the beginning he said that someone's going to get hurt tonight, but
no one's safe.
No one was safe, and so
ultimately
for that
in the
to happen,
end, you had to think though. You had to think he was referring to Braun Strowman, or you had to think he was referring to
a male competitor.
Whoever. You never would have believed in your wildest dreams that it was Alexa Bliss he was talking about. And at the match at the horror show, you sat here and saw Alexa Bliss portraying the role of Sister Abigail.
Yeah, you did.
And you thought, okay, this is all a hallucination. This is all him playing the mindset, the mind games of the swamp and everything else. So, this isn't real. This is just who he pictures Sister Abigail to be. But now the Fiend seeming like he's going to make this a reality, and it's going to potentially give Alexa Bliss a very nice change of character.
A transition from good girl Alexa, bad girl Alexa, into scary girl Alexa maybe. And the shirts, by the way, they were not planned at all.
We did say that. Now, obviously, they're planned tonight because we're a day behind, but we wore these same shirts for the show yesterday during our initial recording. We were wearing them completely by accident, but ultimately it's how it ended up turning out. But the fact is, you now have the Fiend being even more of a monster now than he ever has been before, because he's now proving truly no one is safe. He will take out anyone, even a little tiny 105-pound Alexa Bliss.
But it's going to play, because we have not seen Braun since that swamp match.
I guarantee you he ain't going to take that lightly.
But wherever he is, in that swamp, in that backwards bayou, wherever that is, he has seen, or he's got a gut feeling that something is happening. So the moment he finds out that Alexa, because you have to think, they were buddies in the mixed match challenge. And the fact is he going to give Braun? Is he going to give the Fiend those hands? Because how are you going to do that? You're going to pull him forward.
Well, the idea though is the fact that he's doing anything he can to get into Braun's head, and he's already definitely going to be there. Because Alexa she had no chance. I mean, she knew the moment those lights went out, she was in trouble.
I was terrified for her. Girl, move.
Once again, bravo to the SmackDown writers, because you took a storyline with Bayley, Sasha, Nikki Cross, and found a way to make it to where, you had people tuned in, you had people watching, ultimately to set up that storyline. And it had us jaws on the floor, oh my God, petrified for Alexa.
You know what that reminded me of? Have you seen scary movies? Any scary movie? No. It reminded me of the girl that she's so stunned that she can't move from the spot, that the killer has her where he wants her. That's what that reminded me of, and it scared me. And I'm thinking, girl, move, girl, run. Why are you still sitting there?
And that's weird, because there have been times where we have not exactly been the biggest fans of Alexa Bliss, throughout her heel runs.
That's true.
So the fact is that when you sat there and you realize, okay, this is bad for her.
Yes.
Again, from a storyline perspective, obviously we hope that, she's not really, getting hurt out there. But the fact is, bringing into the idea that, again, no one is safe from the Fiend, and he meant no one. The smallest person on the roster, ultimately falls victim to the Fiend.
But is she going to be okay? Because you looked terrified last night. Is it going to be a transformation where, okay, we're going to go ahead and he's going to use her to get into the mindset of Braun, but is she going to be okay with this?
And, of course, the ultimate thought also at the other side, how's Nikki Cross feel about this? You walked out on your friend. You could have been able to at least come in and done something. But you walked out on her and left her out there by herself, which is the worst thing that happened.
You left her high and dry. So with the Fiend trying to get into the mind of Braun, maybe Alexa does play to Sister Abigail, and she probably also gets into the mindset of Nikki, saying, this is what happens when you left me. You left me high and dry. I've been nothing but good to you. I've done everything as a friend, as a best friend to help you, and you left me when I needed you more.
Right. Well, again, we've publicly said on the show, and we're going to wrap it up with this, that the Fiend, every person that he has faced and beaten has been a person that ultimately resided back to the mindset and the personalities that made them at their best. The best Alexa Bliss that has existed was her heel run during her title runs going back a couple of years ago, where she was relentless, she was remorseless, and she didn't care what she had to do. She was going to do whatever it took to win and whatever it took to get what ultimately she wanted, even during her time as GM.
Yeah.
So, you put her back as that Alexa, or potentially as a Sister Abigail with the same mindset, it could lead to some very good storytelling.
But here's my thing. I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is going to be very, very good. Now, see, I was hoping that, that role would have been filled by Paige with her having her neck injuries, because I'm a huge Paige fan, that I love her. But also coming back and say, I still want to come back, I want to do this, but then put her in that role, because I feel like she would have fitted more. But now you've got Alexa, and like you've stated...
And it's not a bad path to go,
no,
because
not.
Right now Alexa was the one that really was kind of sitting in limbo.
Yeah, she was.
Being, helping to build Nikki Cross up, but now it's time for her to get, get back into a good storyline, and what a good one to get put in, because it's going to be in that Universal title match between Fiend and Braun, not officially announced yet, but the implication, of course, being it's going to get announced at some point. That they'll face each other at SummerSlam. But this was the ultimate story of this week was across all 3 shows. The storyline writing just taking a huge step up. NXT seeming like the weak show, not because it was weak, but because their storyline writing was already up here. Raw and SmackDown just find a way out. They caught them this week.
Yeah, they caught
up. So now the problem is you're sitting at the top of the roller coaster. Now you got to find a way to stay there. So you hope that you don't have a small backslide, as we're 3 weeks away from both Takeover and from SummerSlam, some of your biggest pay-per-views of the year. But I'm looking forward to it.
I am so excited. You don't even understand how excited I am. Well, you know what? You might, because you live with me. But
for everyone that joined us tonight, thank you so much. We're a day behind. We get it. As we said, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. Blamed it on the Fiend. Thankfully, he got out of our house for a little bit. But for those of you who did join us, and we appreciate you guys hanging with us, staying with us through a little bit of difficult times. It also gives us a chance to test out the show on a Saturday slot. What do you think? Do you like it better on Friday nights? Do you like it better for us running it on Saturdays on what would be, of course, non-pay-per-view weekends?
Yeah, non-pay-per-view.
So maybe something to where, maybe On the Ring Apron just happens now on non-pay-per-view weekends.
Yeah.
But we fit it on a Saturday slot. So what do you think? Because it's ultimately you, the fans and our followers, that are the ones that are keeping us, smiling and happy through all this. So what do you think about potentially a Saturday slot for us?
For me, I can tell you I would be okay with it, because it gives me plenty of time to go back and actually, remember all my facts and know all my facts, because, I'm getting older, so I'm getting forgetful, and so I've got to write stuff down.
Young and beautiful forever.
He don't want to be sleeping on the couch tonight.
Forever.
He don't want to be sleeping on the couch tonight. Good play. But with that being said, I just... This week, I was right here, and my emotions, like...
Ooh, I just went Ted DiBiase there for a second.
What is it? I think I got
his money.
I got into the mindset of Savannah, I think, because she usually zones in so much. Her and Haley, and then, I feel like I got into their mindsets at this point.
Well, the fact is, when the storyline writing's good, it gets people hooked, and it's going to get you into it, so they did exactly what they needed to do. But, anyway, one comment saying, Kia, hush up, you're younger than me. Hush.
Thank you.
Either way, thank you again for joining us again. Yes. We understand we're a day behind, but maybe this Saturday slot is good for us. So, again, we want to get your thoughts. What do you think? But we're going to leave you with that. WWE, great job on the storytelling. Great job on getting us hooked back into it as we get ready getting ready for SummerSlam. Big things happening.
Big things popping.
Little things stopping.
Yep. Did we just do an MVP?
We did.
Oh, God. Why?
Either way, time to get back into our social distancing. So, Kia, take us home. You're the one with all the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. I got the sanitizer and the mask. Woo! And like I said, the quicker we sanitize and mask up and wash our hands and do everything we need to, the quicker we can get back into these arenas. With that being said, thank you for joining us tonight on The Ring Apron with Kia and Steve. See you next week. Bye.